It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. It's round 1 of 9 for 2025 in the Motovation Supersport category. We're at Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama on a broken cloud, sun's peeking in and out, wind blowing day as we set the stage for race number 1 for this Motovation Supersport, our first race of the year. Welcome everyone to the broadcast, and welcome to the broadcast booth. You just witnessed a brand new motorcycle, a big talking point. I'm Craig White, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, Matthew Skoltz, your number 1 plate. He won the championship last year. He did that on a Yamaha R6, but now Yamaha introduced a brand new motorcycle called the R9.
Yeah, and you knew it wasn't going to be worse, and Matthew has definitely proven that. He's dominated each one of these sessions so far this weekend. He's going to be starting from pole position today, but I think it's going to take a lot to wrestle that number 1 plate away from Matt.
Yeah, so when you look at Matthew Skoltz, this is the new bike on the Strack Racing motorcycle. And Jay, he had quite an unbelievable season last year. And we welcome Cameron Peterson coming from factory Yamaha into this class this season. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. It's a good move. Cam seems really, really happy. He didn't do a lot of testing so far, has the 45. But yeah, look, Cam can't ever forget about Josh Hayes. Number 4, Josh Hayes, turns 50 years old yesterday. You wouldn't count him out of any race. He also, Greg, has not got a lot of time on this R9 just yet, but he'll get that thing sorted out. It's a long season. This is just round number 1.
Now, Jay, one of the biggest things in the offseason was the fact that MotoAmerica, they made massive rule changes to this class. Now, when I say massive rule changes, I'm really talking about chassis. So we know here in Next Generation that these motorcycles are balanced. But when we look at Suzuki inside the numbers, now what we have is fully adjustable front ends, adjustable swing arm pivots, and rear linkage is changeable, which means you can put a new one on. Let's talk about the impact of those bikes.
Well, the impact is that you're going to be able to try to make your bike better. It's just a matter of how much testing you're able to do. We know with the R9s, they haven't been able to get a lot of testing done. But with the Ducatis and some of the things like that, I know those teams, the Rahal team's been testing a little bit. They have made some changes, and they definitely can feel the difference in some of the things that's been allowed now by the rules.
When we talk about adjustable front end, that means that you're going to allow cups. That means you can move the front end backward or forward, but you're also allowed to do the rake, which means that where the axle is for the front wheel is going to be able to move in or out. When we look at the rear end of the motorcycle, you can change out that linkage, and that's going to change the relationship of leverage between the shock and the actual swing arm itself. It's complicated stuff, but it's going to make these motorcycles less of a street bike and more of a race bike. But you can see that riders are already on the grid, so let's welcome the 3rd member of our broadcast team to the show. Hannah Lopa down there on the grid.
And Greg, as you mentioned, we'd like to welcome Cameron Peterson back to the Supersport grid. You are no stranger to the class, but a new team and a new motorcycle for you. How have things been so far? I know first race is about to get underway.
Yeah, it's been fun so far. You know, this is pretty much only my 3rd day on the bike, so still trying to get used to everything. And but yeah, man, what a team, what a bike. Just so pumped to be part of the Ducati family and Warhorse and Celtic. I mean, everybody in the team is just so fun to be around. So yeah, looking forward to another good season, and it's going to be a hell of a battle with all this talent on this grid, but we're up for it, and yeah, let's go battle it out with the boys.
Best of luck out there. Now, some things are not completely new for Cam. A couple of crew members he's worked with in the past, John Cornwell and also Seb Fontenelle, helping out. So really good to see some familiar faces there. I want to talk to our pole setter, Matthew Skoltz, our defending champion, and he's one of the first to try to defend the title since Garrett Gerloff defended in 2016 and 2017. Matt, how comfortable or how confident are you heading into this season with the same team as last year, or do you feel an added sense of pressure with that number 1 plate on the bike?
I definitely think there's a little bit more, pressure carrying the number 1 plate, but it's a privilege. Really, 2nd year with the Strack Racing team, they've been awesome. First race on the R9, pace looks really, really good, but practice and racing are 2 totally different things. But I'm looking forward to the challenges, and I'm ready for it.
Best of luck out there, Matt. Guys.
And Jay, we have an 18-lap race ahead of us, and so it's going to be interesting to see how the R9, which we've seen has gone fast in 1 lap, how it's going to be able to go to the end of the race and manage that tire.
Yeah, when you look at this bike, Greg, it definitely looks a little bit bigger. It looks very, very long. And talking to Matthew this morning on my way into the track, saw him in the parking lot, and we were talking a little bit about the team is still making some changes. They tried to make the bike even a little bit longer. They tried some gearing stuff. He said some of the gearing things he did put the bike more on the torque curve, which he didn't feel like he had as much control over, so he went back to a shorter gear. And then you see it right now how windy it is out there. The gearing is going to make a big difference for all these riders as well.
All right, Jay, let's take a look at Barber Motorsports Park here in Birmingham, Alabama. It is an absolute roller coaster and a pleasure to be here.
It's literally a rider favorite by far. It's a short run down to turn 1, a very blind turn 1 through turn 2, up and over hill there, 3, flat out down into Charlotte's Web. As you wind your way through some of those S's through the museum corner over in turn 7, the last part of this lap, 10, 11, 12, 13 on your screen, you can do a lot of stuff down through there as far as passing goes late in the race. That's where tires become a thing. The run out of turn 14 start-finish line is a long one. So if you don't get the drive out of that last corner, Greg, it can cost you at the start-finish line.
Love this racetrack, and 18 laps scheduled for this Motovation Supersport class. And of course, Matthew Skoltz on pole position with that number 1 plate, but you never want to sleep on this guy. This is PJ Jacobsen, the number 15. He finished 2nd in the championship last season. He's 2nd on the grid right now. You got to check this race out. We're going to get this thing going in 4 minutes. Hang tight.
MotoAmerica Supersport is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sportsbook and DFS platforms all season long.
We're staying with you live here on MotoAmerica Live Plus as we continue to get ready for the Motovation Supersport Championship season. And Roger, we heard from Matthew Skoltz out there on the grid, but I want to go back to something that he said after qualifying today was that, yes, that 1 lap was great, but what enthused him even more was the fact that he was able to nearly duplicate it on race tires.
Yeah, and only that, and also one tire, he had a ton of laps on and went out and did a really good lap. And we were watching his lap times this morning. You hear riders talk about, their race pace, and for Matt, man, his race pace was pretty incredible, and right now he's looking pretty good going into this race 1.
Can see him getting himself mentally ready. There's a look at Kayla Yakov on the number 19, one of the riders from the Rahal Ducati organization. She said this morning that she just wasn't comfortable in practice for that first qualifying session, feeling a lot better this morning, able to qualify herself on that 2nd row.
Yeah, huge jump today and half a second quicker than what she qualified last year. So you can see that improvement for Kayla. She's got herself in a good spot right there behind the fellow Ducati rider, Cam Peterson.
You can see that shot there of the 2nd row. You can see that number 22 right behind Matthew Skoltz. That is his new teammate for the year, Blake Davis, and he's been quick all weekend.
He has been quick, and I think it could be a good year for Blake. Right there, just try to get off and follow his teammate and go with him.
Warm-up lap now underway for the full field of the Motovation Supersport contenders. Everybody chasing that number 1 plate of Matthew Skoltz, and with the addition of Cam Peterson, Blake Davis, you've got Tyler Scott coming back, PJ Jacobsen, of course, coming back, Josh Hayes coming back for another full season. There are a number of riders that could win any one of these.
You look at Jake Lewis, he won a race last year. T. Hobbs has been a podium guy. Corey Alexander, you can go all the way down the list.
As they get back towards the grid, we're going to send it back next door to Greg White, Jason Pridmore, and Hannah Lopa.
Back here at Barber Motorsports Park, Motovation Supersport race number 1, our first race of 2025. Now, Jason, 18 laps in this one. Matthew Skoltz has been the talk of the town. When he's needed, he's had a lap as he sits on pole position. So you got Skoltz, Jacobsen, and Peterson on that front row. What do you think for this race?
Well, I think the biggest thing we're looking at is Matthew Skoltz and Jacobsen dominated the 2024 season. When I say dominated, those guys would pull away. Who's going to be able to go with him this year? Is it going to be Cam Peterson? How about Blake Davis, Skoltz's teammate? We saw him win late in the year in New Jersey. And, of course, Tyler Scott. But Kayla Yakov qualifies 6th. She's really happy with the things that team has done. The Rahal Ducati team has 3 bikes inside the top 7 if you include Corey Alexander. Are they going to be able to bridge that gap to the 2 guys at the front?
So Skoltz, Jacobsen, and Peterson on row number 1.
Then they're going to be followed there by Blake Davis, Ty Scott, and Kayla Yakov. Then we have Corey Alexander, Josh Hayes back there in the middle of that 3rd row next to Jake Lewis, Teague Hobbs, Dave Anthony, and Max Vandenbroek. Max Van there rolling on a new bike this year. Rodeo, Collins, Enriquez, Williams, Sneed, and Nassani outside row 6. LaRoche, DeLeon, Horney, Oman, Mags, and Logan Monk. And then just on the back there, Alan Bean, Duffy, and Lindsey McGregor are going to round out the field.
And just of note, 5 of the new R9 Yamahas in the top 10, including Jake Lewis
Really
on the
impressive.
Altus Motorsports bike. So transitioning from the GSXR 750 from last year to the R9 this year. Here we go, Motovation Supersport race number 1 at Barber Motorsports Park. And we are on our way to lap number 1. And Matthew Skultz in his first race start on the Yamaha R9 gets an incredible launch.
And again, Greg, they've done a lot of testing, so you know these 2 bikes at the front, both Blake Davis and Matthew Skultz, they've probably done a bunch of practice starts on those bikes. They get 2 great launches. You got teammates out front 1 and 2 at the moment. The R9 showing the way. It looks like we have Ty Scott running in 3rd, and it's either PJ, I think it's PJ there, just back there in 4th, and then look at Cam Peterson as he goes up underneath it. Looks like Josh Hayes. So Josh had got a good start, but then he gets brushed back just a little bit as Cam P tried to make room to get himself up into that 5th spot, and it just pushed Josh back a little bit.
So Blake Davis holding on the 22 Strack Racing Yamaha. And then you have the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki of Ty Scott on the number 70 with 15 PJ Jacobson on that Rahal Ducati Moto with Expel. And Jay, listening to Matthew Skultz after qualifying, he said that he wanted to basically do the similar lap times that he was doing in qualifying in 25s. He wanted to be set the race pace at 25s,
yeah,
blistering pace.
That's going to be really, really fast if he's capable of doing that. And you can see Blake Davis there doing everything he can. I really look at Blake as this could be a breakout year for the number 22. This weekend he's got Kyle Wyman helping do some crew chiefing down there. Talked to Kyle this morning and he said it's so easy working with this kid. As you see PJ now tries to get by Ty Scott as they go into turn 1. He moves his Ducati into 3rd. So we got the same kind of guys at the front with the exception of Blake Davis. We saw him last year, like I said, Greg, win at Jersey, but it was a slow-moving progress throughout the year. Then he signs on with the Strack Racing team, and I'm sure he's learning a lot there, not only with the team itself, but with the teammate that he's got just up in front.
Yeah, and you throw there in 5th place the 45 of Cam Peterson on the Celtic Economy Lube Plus Tire Warhorse HSBK Ducati V2. No, Corey Alexander gets stuffed.
Yeah, he went by Josh on the way in. You can see Jake Lewis right behind him. He actually passed Josh on the way in, but Josh turned it back up underneath him. And I watched Josh yesterday during one of the sessions, and he methodically was just picking his way down to the lap times that he wanted to get to. He talked to him last night. Says we're not quite there yet, but they're going to keep chipping away on that Bryce Prince Racing R9 that he's on there. And you can see in the background you got Dave Anthony just behind Corey Alexander and Jake Lewis as well. It looked like Corey got back by there but here you go, Greg. He goes down to the inside. Now Josh is going to be patient. He's going to turn the bike back up underneath Corey and just stand Corey up a little bit. I'm sure Corey was waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, because Corey's got some work to do because up the road a piece is his teammate Kayla Yakov, who's on the back of that top 6. So Corey Alexander desperate to close that gap at the moment. Alexander on the 23 out Austining, New York, in the Rahal Ducati Moto with roller die and forming. So the Panigale V2 rider is setting sail. There's Jake Lewis on the 85. We talked about him. His new bike for the season, an Altus. It's also a Yamaha R9.
Yeah, you can see Corey just getting away from Josh here now. So Josh is going to have his hands full with Jake Lewis and Dave Anthony next. Corey's got that gap, to your point, that he's got to try to make up to Kayla. His teammate is about 1.3 seconds behind her at the moment. So we'll see if he can close that gap down. Matthew Skultz came across that line last time through about half a second ahead of Blake Davis. So everybody's trying to go. There's a good look at Kayla Yakov right there running 6th at the moment. I think that's a great start of the year for her. Went quicker than she's ever gone around here this morning at Barber Motorsports Park in qualifying to get herself there in 6th. And that's where she's running during the race right now.
Yeah, and part of that rule change we talked about at the top of the show, having that front-end adjustability on this Ducati Panigale V2, allowing riders like Josh Herron was on that bike at Daytona, and talking to him through the sections of Daytona that were carving in the infield section, it was just more comfortable for him with the difference in the geometry of the motorcycle. Keep in mind, these motorcycles are street bikes. When we talk about Suzuki GSXR 750, Yamaha YZF R9, Ducati Panigale V2, these are motorcycles you can buy off the showroom floor. Motorcycles that are designed to turn quickly in a parking lot. But in race trim, the adjustments that are allowed in this next generation Supersport class really beneficial for all these riders in terms of lap times and comfortability and tire wear.
There's a couple things I'm looking at here, Greg, and you just hit the nail on the head with the last statement, tire wear. The R9s and things, we haven't seen them go full race distance, and we know they haven't gone full race distance at a MotoAmerica track even in testing. So how is that going to play out over the course of this 18 laps? Now the guy here on that yellow Ducati, PJ Jacobsen, on a bike that he was on last year with some stuff now that's made the bike more adjustable, he's going to have some notes and some ideas of what his bike is going to react like with 4, 5, 6 laps to go. So PJ right now hanging in there, staying close to both of these guys. If he starts to see Blake Davis just to get off the pace a little bit, he's going to try to make quick work of him so that Matthew doesn't get too far out in front. The worst thing that can happen is Matt start getting +1, +2 on his board, because then he's controlling it. PJ wants to make sure that doesn't happen.
So in this Motovation Supersport class, these middleweight sport bikes, with all the next generation motorcycles that are in the field now, no traction control, no wheelie control, and none of those devices. So when we talk about that tire wear, it's really going to be on the rider to manage their tire wear through their right wrist, because you don't have the electronic aids that are going to help.
Yeah, one of the things to your point again is, that was one of the reasons I think that Matthew's team possibly was going to a little bit taller gearing, maybe to try not to beat that tire up as much. The problem was with that, Greg, is it was getting him in the torque curve, and the bike would start to spin in the torque curve, and he didn't like the feeling of it because it would spin into a higher RPM. And I reminded him that that was kind of like how the superbikes were back in the day when we used to ride them with no electronics. If you got that thing in the torque curve and it went a little bit sideways, as you see Jake Lewis look like he was trying to make a move, and he does make that move. As I see out my windows, we focus on those top 3 here on our screen. Jake Lewis didn't make that pass. Those top 3 guys, they're starting to just now break away from Ty Scott in 4th.
In sector number 1, this number 1 plate just set the fastest time of 15.1 seconds. So we break this track up into 5 different sectors.
Only by a 10th, though.
Only by a 10th, yeah. As Blake Davis really starting to push the issue. And Blake Davis, definitely one of the youngest, brightest talents that we have in MotoAmerica, Hannah.
He is, and when I spoke with the team about the reason that Blake was the right fit when they decided to expand their Supersport program to an additional rider, they said they really like his demeanor and just his character, the way that he carries himself. It's a real family atmosphere underneath the canopy, and him and his family fit right in. He is very mature for just 18 years old. He's got a lot of natural talent and intuition. Now, they did test this bike at Podium Club and Talladega, but this weekend was the first time really putting the bike through its paces. They're making small adjustments here and there overall to get him feeling a little bit more comfortable, but everything is brand new. They also have a World Supersport electronics engineer here helping out this weekend, sharing data, as well as it is a factory-supported effort.
Yeah, because keep in mind, the debut of the Yamaha R9 JP was in World Supersport, like what, a month and a half ago at Phillip Island, and they went 2 for 2 right out of the gate.
Yeah, Monzi came out and won at Phillip Island, and even this last weekend, Ken Onchu won first race at Portimao, only to crash out of the second one with a bit of a lead. So the thing is that what I'm starting to notice, though, is that number 1 is just starting to stretch it. It was 0.6 that time through. So now you're going to start see PJ start to really look around. If you look in the left side of your screen here, you're going to see Blake get out onto that curbing and get just over the edge and get that thing spinning up and bucking him out of the seat ever so slightly. So you can see PJ's all over the back of him now. 15's looking for a way through.
So PJ Jacobsen on the yellow Rejo Ducati Moto with Expel machine. Up the inside he goes, and he'll take over that spot. So good, clean move from PJ Jacobsen to take over second place.
What a run he got out of there in front of our fans over in the turn 11 area. PJ really got through that 10-11 chicane really well, positioned himself into a turn that's very difficult to pass and down into turn 12. Now we're going to see if PJ has pace underneath him where he can try to catch up to Skoltz.
When they come across the stripe, it's 26.55 for Matthew Skoltz and a 26.847 with a pass for PJ Jacobsen. So in that lap, Skoltz ended up eking out another 0.3 of a second over PJ. But now that PJ has a clear track, at least for now, if Davis doesn't fight back, you can see PJ working the rear end of that Ducati to get it turned and get it up the hill.
Yeah, PJ has already gone the fastest first split of his race. So he's got his head down. The problem with that is it's still 0.2 slower than that of Matthew Skoltz. That time through, it has gone to a full second now for Matthew. As you see PJ just come out of Charlotte's Web there and starting to try to pull away from that 22. Greg, we still have plenty of laps left in this race. We still have 12 laps to go. So when Matthew sees 1 second, If that starts to kind of just stabilize at 1 second, he's going to know kind of the pace that he feels like he needs to run. If he starts to see that time come down, we'll see if Matthew can kick those times back in again. He's still, Greg, only a 10th off of his best lap time. That time through was Matthew.
Hey, don't forget, play MotoAmerica for cash. Superbike and Supersport series are now live. Top sportbooks and DFS platforms. Scan the flow code or visit nxtbets.com/PlayMA to see what's available in your location. Sign up, claim exclusive bonuses, and make your picks now.
We did see, for anybody that's thinking about Gus Rodeo, he did just pull in the pits in front of us, so looks like maybe a mechanical issue for him. We've seen Gus do really well in our Junior Cup and our Twins Cup in the past, making the jump to Supersport.
All right, so Matthew Skoltz just went across the stripe, Jay. Fastest lap of the race for him with 11 to go, 1:26.320. So now a 1.2 second lead. Now PJ Jacobsen didn't quite go his fastest, just about a 10th off at 1:26.555. But PJ all of a sudden with the hurry up, he goes sector 1, best split of his race so far. So PJ trying to close that gap as he sees Skoltz start to eke away. Now we notch back to the battle for 4th place. That's Ty Scott in the 70 and Cameron Peterson on the 45.
Yeah, they're going back and forth here a little bit as Cam has closed that gap. Ty's lost time. You can see him having to look over his shoulder. He could probably hear that Ducati on the way into Charlotte's Web. You can probably hear that Ducati up behind him, and he knows now that he's getting caught, even though Ty Scott's going to be getting some pit board notifications. Hannah?
Talking to Ty Scott, he said they've been struggling from the start of the weekend, just fighting some chatter, and the bike felt like it wouldn't turn. He felt like he was fighting the bike, but he slept on it tonight. They didn't make very many changes to the bike. He actually just changed the rider input, and the lap times that he was doing were the same times, but they came to him much easier. He's just not rushing his entries as much. They did test here, so he's expecting to be dialed, but feeling a bit on the back foot, but much better today. We'll see how things play out as the rest of this race unfolds here with these two.
Yeah, and the hardest part, Jay, is that he's got all this pressure from the 45 of Cam Peterson. So the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki rider of Ty Scott trying to hold off the advances, but Cam Peterson also on that Celtic Econo Plus tire Warhorse HSBK Ducati is learning with every single corner as well.
And they're going to have to be careful. Look in the background there. You saw Kayla Yakov. Greg, that time through, she was 8/10 quicker than the two in front of her. So Kayla is hunting down this top 5 finish, maybe even 4th. Look at her. She looks super comfortable. Look how good the bike looks up over the top of the crest of that hill. We've seen a lot of bikes over the years not look that good as Cam Peterson looked to go down the inside of Ty Scott. So Ty Scott and Cam Peterson, 28.2, 28.1, and right behind Kayla Yakov and Corey Alexander and Jake Lewis, all in the low 27s.
Yeah, so they're on the move forward. So these two can't muck about, Scott and Peterson, because not only do you have Yakov on the way, but also Alexander, Jake Lewis, and even David Anthony back there in 9th place was slightly quicker than these two went. We're looking at right now. So Yakov on the number 19 machine. You can see her on the yellow Rahal Ducati Moto with XPEL machine. And there's her teammate, Corey Alexander, on the Rahal Ducati Moto with Roller Die. Getting after it right now. After a so-so start for Alexander, all he wants to do is just reel in his teammate. You always want to be the number 1 on your team first and then try to win it up front as we continue to look at this battle for 4th and 5th place. Is Matthew Skoltz now has got a 1.6 second lead and is continuing to pull away from PJ Jacobsen.
Yeah, that time through, PJ matched the lap time of Matthew Skoltz, but like to your point, 1.7 as Cam Peterson now goes up underneath Ty Scott down into turn 1 as Kayla continues to pull forward. Hannah, what you got on Cam?
Cameron Peterson actually has not raced in the Supersport class since 2016, so it's been quite some time. He said much with like learning to ride the bagger this season, he needs to remember while this is a sport bike, it's not a super bike, and he needs to stop riding it like one. He does have experience, as I mentioned, working with both John Cornwell and Seb Fontenelle in the past, so it's nice to have that trust heading into a race weekend and already feel comfortable off the bat when so many other things are unfamiliar. But the more seat time he gets, slowly the laps click off and they're coming to him a bit easily.
Yeah, in terms of riders that are active in this race that have race wins, Cam Peterson is one of them, Jay. He won a race back in 2016. But I want to go back to what Hannah said. Cam Peterson has got to remind himself not to ride a super sport bike like a super bike. What is he talking about?
Well, the big thing is with a super bike, Greg, you can square up a lot of corners, depending on the track, depending on where we're racing. You know, this place, Greg, Barber is much more flowing kind of a track. There's only really one very, very hard braking spot in this track, as you see him get way out over the curbing there to Cam as he come up over the top of that little ridge. So I think for Cam, it's going to be a lot more important when we go to some other tracks where you have those kind of point-and-shoot corners. This place is much more flowing, but he'll make those adjustments, and the team will help him make those adjustments as well.
This is Supersport, a class with next-generation motorcycles, so you have the variety of these 995 twins, 750 inline 4-cylinders, just a variety of motorcycles that are all balanced for performance through their electronics and mapping. So when you talk about the total power that's available in the Ducati Panigale V2, he doesn't have the full complement of that motorcycle. When you look at an uncorked superbike here in MotoAmerica, making 220 plus horsepower and all kinds of torque, that's what Jason's talking about. Getting that superbike up on the meat of the tire, driving forward here in Supersport, you got to rely a little bit more on the edge of the tire.
But you can see here as we go back a little bit further, this is going to be Max Van and Torrin Collins. So really good to see Torrin Collins, this young man, puts every single thing he can into it. And for Max Van, this is a new ride, Greg, as he joins that Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team. Max has done a really nice job. We saw him do some amazing rides last year on the 48. So now with this new team and probably more data, more help around him, he's had a really solid weekend, always in and around that top 10 spot. As you see him right now, he's in 11th. He's about 2.8 seconds behind Josh Hayes. For Torrin Collins, he returns with Altus Motorsports for a second season. Speaking with his dad, they were expecting to definitely see a little bit of jump in progress as far as what he's done. Torrin spent years over in Europe as these lead riders go through turn one. Ty Scott got back, and Kayla there. Where is Camp P? Camp P has made a mistake because Kayla is through, Corey's through, and you can see the 45 of Camp Peterson, Greg. I'm looking on my screen and trying to figure out what split. It might have been the first one because the other splits look pretty good. So keep an eye on the 45. I'm not sure if something happened, but when Cam got back through on Ty Scott, they immediately got back down into the 27s. They were running low 28s. So now Ty Scott is leading that battle for fourth.
Yeah, but Yakov is on the charge. She got 3/10 of a second back on Ty Scott on that last lap. So let's see, Cam Peterson possibly running wide, Jay.
Yep.
As now you can see he's
might have been in that first split because the other splits, nope, this is going to be, no, this is, it's already happened. Whatever happened had, oh, there it is, Greg. He's up high. It's
almost like he got out in the dirty stuff for some reason.
And
just kind
different than that. It's,
yeah.
He's looking back way too much. It didn't look like he was in any hurry. Sometimes you can catch a false neutral coming through that little bit of an area and get out into that stuff and get it under control, but it didn't look like he was in any big hurry to get going. So he is going again, though, and you can see him up the back of Corey Alexander.
And Jay, we have about 6.5 laps to go, so it doesn't mean that Cam Peterson is out of the fight for the podium. He's just got a lot of work to do, and he's going to have to be at least a half a second or so quicker than the riders in front of him and be able to execute passes.
Well, the podium's gone now because Ty Scott's actually fourth, isn't he, Greg? So Blake Davis is third. He's up the road. They're probably 7 seconds behind that at the moment. But here's the battle. I mean, Kayla really digging deep here. She's already in fifth. She's got fourth directly in front of her. Her teammate, Corey Alexander, let's see the lap time-wise, 27.2 for both of the Ray Hall team riders here running in fifth and sixth.
Hannah, tell us more on the 19.
Kayla Yakov had knee surgery in October. She said it was about a 4 or 5 month endeavor. She wasn't able to really ride and train as much in this off season as she would have liked to. But this season's off to a great start. All the new parts that they're allowed to run this year, she's learning a lot. They did make a huge setup change from yesterday to today involving the front suspension. Kayla is notoriously good with the front end, and she really needs that feel. And she said this morning something clicked for her and she found it, so that will only be advantageous for her as she's trying to overtake Tyler Scott here.
Yeah, and in addition to that, Jay, looking forward, we know that there is rain forecast for tomorrow, and we know how good Kayla Yakov is in the rain, and a lot of people are talking about her in the potential of having a wet race here at Barber Motorsports Park tomorrow.
Well, she's always your pick in the rain, isn't she?
She's a lot of people's pick.
Yeah, she's a lot of people's
really
pick.
good.
Matthew Schultz goes across the line, Greg. He's got about a 2.9 second lead as we look at that battle. Here's Matthew just running very, very consistent laps, Greg. He's gone 26 flat as his fastest. That last time through, 26.3. So Kayla makes a big jump. She goes by Ty Scott. I was looking out my window and saw that, and our camera, just like that, gets on it. Ty Scott looking to try to sneak up the inside, and he's going to make that pass back as they go through turn two. Now, as they come up over the top of this crest, let's see if Kayla can try to figure out a way to get to the left-hand side of Ty Scott and outbrake him. Not quite close enough. But man, she did it going down into turn 1, and with these two battling, Corey Alexander there on the 23. Corey's obviously very, very good. Corey's really good on used tires. He's got about 5 laps to go to try to close a gap of about 1.2 over the two in front of him.
So there they go, battling for 4th place. So it's Schultz, Jacobson, and Blake Davis, your top 3. With this 4.5 laps to go, they have a stranglehold on the podium at the moment. So it's Ty Scott and Kayla Yakov looking to improve her qualifying position of 6th place. Is Yakov been the sensation since she stormed onto the scene here in MotoAmerica in what is now the Talent Cup class, but back then was Junior Cup class. And everyone knew and expected, give her 1 year in the Supersport class. Now, Jason, you've added, as we have a rider down.
Somebody down here. This is over in the...
Oh, it's like Aiden Sneed.
That is Aiden Sneed.
Unfortunately for Sneed, he crashes out of 15th place, a best lap time of a 28.66. Only a couple, like a half a second off his lap time, but unfortunately for Sneed and the MP13 racing team, he is down and out of this one, and it looks like with a tender foot or a tender ankle.
Yeah, and you see Corey Alexander. Here we go, Greg. He gets out there wide. He just got too fast into that turn, and this is going to throw him. And it didn't throw him as hard, but maybe he jammed his leg or something. We saw him getting up and limping. Got off, I think, pretty good. Bike obviously isn't going to be too bad. You see it still running. Corey Alexander now, man on the move, just getting back to this 27.5 for Corey to continue to close this gap down on the two in front. As you can see, Cam Peterson has definitely fallen a little bit further back, but the 23 is in the frame now. We got a red flag rig, and I know why. That bike was on the inside of the track, so the throttle stuck on that MV Agusta and drug itself all the way across the inside of the track to where the corner workers and stuff probably couldn't get to it.
Yeah, additionally, they're going to want to check that track to see if there's any fluid, but it looked like there wasn't much of a problem. But, Jay, what that's going to do is that's probably going to give us a complete race.
You got to think it's 4 laps to go. So, with about 3.5 laps to go, the race got red flagged. So we'll see what race direction does. But this guy was out front by 2.9 seconds, and this is going to be a great way to start defending your championship. Remember how he started it last year in Atlanta? He had a horrendous Friday, not that much better Saturday morning, and then all of a sudden in those 2 races, as you see, this bike is still running on the inside of the track, and that's not good when the bike's laying on its side running.
It's not good for the motor either. It's getting starved of oil, and wouldn't surprise if that thing expired and popped itself. Unfortunately for Aiden Sneed, and this race, we're going to see. They're still going to make a decision, but let's go over what happened. So Matthew Schultz had a 2.9 second lead over PJ Jacobson, who had another 2 seconds over Blake Davis, which put Blake Davis about 5 seconds behind. Looking at the best lap times of the race, Schultz with a new race lap record here at Barber Motorsports Park in the Supersport class, a 126.089. Jacobson was able to do a 26.355, Blake a 26.4. And you see Ty Scott, Kayla Yakov in 5th, Corey Alexander in 6th, Cameron Peterson was in 7th, and Jake Lewis, David Anthony, and Josh Hayes round out your top 10.
You're going to see here, he just gets out in the grass. He's trying to get it turned and then kind of loses the front, obviously, in the grass, Greg, and falls off. Now, this bike's going to pirouette around. It's on the foot pegs, but you're going to start to see it. It's going to keep driving forward. See that? So the motor's still running, gets across the track. And, I don't see any fluids or anything, but it made it impossible for them to get to that motorcycle at that point. So hoping that Aiden's okay. And by the looks of things, they're celebrating down in the Strack pit. Looks like Matthew Schultz has been declared the winner of this race, possibly.
So Schultz's race pace was thinking he might be in the 25s for this one, but a 26 flat. Incredible when you look at the 125.4 in qualifying.
Right when you get there, hot.
All right, so Schultz, Peterson, and Davis, and it looks like they're moving bikes. Declared the winner. Yep, so Schultz, PJ Jacobson, and Blake Davis. The debut here in MotoAmerica in the Motovation Supersport class as the Yamaha R9 with a maiden victory. And we're going to talk to Matthew Schultz about that when we come back.
Live Plus with the red flag, the race being over 2/3 of the way through. We are now getting ready for podium celebrations as you see Matthew Schultz pull up to the podium to get to celebrate this victory with this track racing team. Roger, we didn't see the race pace get as low as what Matthew Skoltz had hoped for or predicted, but you can still see how close it was, a 26 flat.
So close, and then also, too, just the way he's able to back those laps up. I mean, that's 0.6 quicker than the previous race record. So for Matt, he felt confident. When they interviewed him this morning, you could tell he was really confident on used tires. He's been confident all weekend and was able to go out in the race, and he's able to not go as quick as this morning. The sun has come up. The track temperature, it's a lot warmer, so I'm sure the grip isn't as good as it was this morning in qualifying. But still, he had an incredible pace that no one else could match.
Another thing that happened at the start of this race, Matthew obviously having a great start, being able to maintain that lead, but his teammate, you said it when we were looking at him on the grid, that it'd be a great opportunity for Blake Davis to be right there behind Matthew Skoltz, hopefully be able to follow him through into turn around, and Blake Davis was able to do just that, ultimately finishing third, but still a great start to this race weekend for him.
Yeah, great start for Blake, and it's really cool to see when you look at the leaderboard there. We got 3 different brands inside the top 4, and that's really, I really like seeing that. It just shows you the parity of each brand. But for Blake, what a great start to the year for him there, right there, and getting a podium. And PJ, obviously he wants to win, but starting the year off with a second.
It's a good look at Blake Davis getting to celebrate this first podium of the 2025 championship season. It was a great run for PJ Jacobsen as well, making that move exactly when he needed to. We're going to go ahead and send it back over to Hannah Lopa, Greg White, and Jason Pridmore to hear from these 3.
Celebration for Matthew Skoltz's track racing as he makes his way into victory lane after a big win. And Jay, unfortunately this race was cut 4 laps short, but you and I have been in racing a long time. Somehow we don't feel like the results are going to change much. Skoltz had 3 seconds over PJ. Blake Davis was another 2 seconds back. So,
but that fight for 4th was still going between Ty Scott, Kayla Yakov, and Corey Alexander. So that could have been an entertaining one back there, a little bit further back.
All right, so for Matthew Skoltz, going to be a big victory here at Barber Motorsports Park. And here's a look at those results. So, technically 2.9 seconds. Blake Davis in there. Ty Scott, Kayla Yakov, what a battle. Corey Alexander was moving forward. Cam Peterson, not sure what happened with him. Jake Lewis, David Anthony, and Josh Hayes rounding out your top 10. But now Hannah is in victory lane with our winner, Matthew Skoltz.
And the R9 is so different compared to the motorcycle he won the championship on last season. For Matthew Skoltz, the bike seems to suit you really well considering you won the first race of the season. What about it is just really working well for you?
I mean, the R9 is an absolute weapon out there. It kind of has the same handling as the R6, but just with a lot more punch out of the corners. And, I think riding Superbike for such a long time, I'm still kind of used to that point and shoot. So I think that kind of moving sort of back to Superbike style helped me slightly. I mean, you do still have to worry about the corner speed, but thank you to Track Racing. They've had sleepless nights getting this thing, I'm ready to go. It's an absolute weapon, and I'm looking forward to a really great season for us. And well done to my teammate Blake on the podium as well, and to PJ in second.
It's been a while since you've had a teammate under the canopy with you. Is there anything that you were able to learn in testing or able to work together with Blake in order to secure such success today?
Yeah, definitely having a teammate helps. Concerning it's a brand new bike, he would try one thing, I would try something else. So we're kind of able to do these back-to-backs. So I think that definitely helped. So it's been a whole team thing for us, and keeping the family going and hopefully get onto the podium together.
Great job by Matthew Skoltz today, guys.
Yeah, and Matthew said it all. Those sleepless nights by the team to get this motorcycle ready to go this season. And, of course, we know that Yamaha not wanting to debut the bike in Daytona, giving them a little bit of extra time to work on this thing and test it, of course, with communication in Europe. And what a way to get it done. But second in the championship last year, second today, PJ Jacobsen with Hannah.
Second place for PJ Jacobsen and a really strong start to the weekend and the season. Does this result reflect the level of comfort and confidence that you've had so far this weekend?
Yeah, I feel like pretty good and stuff. Testing went really well this winter, so yeah, the team worked really extremely hard and stuff. And honestly, we knew that coming into this that the R9s would be quite competitive. So we'll see how the season keeps going and figure it out from that point. But yeah, it was a good race today to get in 20 points. Schultz rode great. But yeah, we'll focus on tomorrow, which will be a wet race, I think. And both of us are pretty fast in the wet, so I think it'll be a very competitive field tomorrow with some more guys mixed in.
Speaking of the weather tomorrow, how does that kind of change your approach to things? It's obviously going to be a much different setting than today.
Well, yeah, I feel like I'm quite lucky because I've been riding this bike for the past year and stuff, and I don't think that they've done much testing with the R9 in the wet, so hopefully it scares them a little bit tomorrow when they just go out there with full of confidence, because I know I will be on this V2.
PJ Jacobson certainly has a lot of experience in the wet as well, guys.
Yeah, and a very, very good point, because we don't really know at this point how much experience these riders have on the Yamaha R9 in the rain, which, looks like a huge possibility tomorrow. But right now, Hannah's with third place.
Blake Davis rounding out your podium. And Blake, it's your very first race weekend with this team. What factors contributed to your success?
Yeah, the whole team's worked amazing together, and my crew chief, Kyle Wyman, this weekend, he's done amazing. And yeah, I just can't thank everybody enough. I know tomorrow I can have a little bit more. Hopefully get a 1-2 for the team. But yeah, just everyone working really well together.
What has the learning curve been like as far as the new motorcycle and not really being able to utilize a lot of Matthews data from last season?
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad. Yamaha made a great motorcycle, and it was fast right out of the box, so not too much to worry about.
And how are you feeling about the wet conditions potentially for tomorrow?
I'm feeling amazing. I love the wet weather, and I feel like we can have really good results. Matt's really good in the rain. Obviously, Matt's really good here at Barber in general, but yeah, I think we can be on the podium again. And I'd just like to thank all my sponsors, Strack, especially Peter and Jess. They've been amazing to me. And yeah, KYT, Dionysi, Attack, just everyone that's helped me out, helped me get here. It's been amazing.
A great run by Blake Davis, rounding out your Motovation Supersport podium, guys.
And Jay, we have our timing and scoring screen that we're looking at during these interviews. You're just looking at the accomplishments in wet weather. If we look ahead to tomorrow, you look at Schultz, Jacobson, Davis, what he's able to do, Scott Yakov, Alexander, even Cam Peterson. I have to go talk to Cam about that 16 victory, but I think he won that in the rain. Well, we got more coming at you.
Continuing with you here on MotoAmerica Live Plus. Roger Hayden, I want to ask you this question. So obviously the rain, it's going to potentially be a pretty big factor in the way that we race tomorrow. But if you're comfortable on a bike and you're, as a rider, are comfortable in the rain, does it really matter whether or not you have the wet experience on board that particular bike?
Yeah, I think if you're comfortable in the wet, it kind of carries over to every bike. And I think for Matt, he's always been fast in the wet. It does help when you have a little time to set up some different things, and it can be better. But the rain is all about confidence, and you either have it or you don't. And a lot of the guys in the Supersport class now are really good in the wet. So I think if it rains tomorrow, everybody, for Matt, he doesn't probably want to see the rain with the pace that he has shown this week in the dry. But I don't think he's going to, when that rain comes tomorrow, he'll be ready.
See the big smiles on all the faces up there on the podium. I also really like what Blake Davis, the confidence that he has now as he's matured over the last couple of seasons and just continued to grow up with this paddock, and then the trust that everybody has put into him and get the opportunities that he's been given. You can see him really mature into this role. Yeah,
and you can really see it in his interviews as well. And even like today, his race pace was really good. Podium, what a great way to start the year. And I think it's just such a good opportunity for him to move to Strack Racing, a new team, and learn and be around some different people and really just keep getting better. It's about getting experience and having a really good teammate like he has. I think you're going to see a lot from Blake this year.
Very quickly before we toss it back next door, between third and fourth place, there's nearly a 10-second gap, but it is almost 15 seconds between Matthew Schultz and Tyler Scott in fourth. There's some work to be done overnight.
There's a lot of work to do if it's going to be dry tomorrow.
We'll see what the gap is once we get there, but for now, let's finish out this one. We'll send it back over to Greg White and Jason Pridmore.
MotoAmerica Supersport is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series, and by NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sportsbook and DFS platforms all season long.
Podium celebrations for Matthew Skultz. Standing on top, PJ Jacobsen and Blake Davis as Yamaha with huge smiles. And of course, one of the guys responsible for this program, Tom Halverson, now retired. I'm sure watching at home. But Jay, here's some race 1 highlights.
Yeah, and you can see Matthew got a great start, was never really headed. Blake Davis took on the charge early, and you see Ty Scott and PJ Jacobsen back and forth. That was the guys that were really trying to bridge this gap to the number 1, and for the longest time they ran right there. Ty Scott fell off the boil a little bit as you see Josh Hayes, Corey Alexander, Jake Lewis, and Dave Anthony battling at it. There was this little move, cost Blake a little bit of time, not too bad, but it wasn't soon after that. PJ Jacobsen would make the pass down at the end of the back straightaway to try to take charge of going after the number 1. Cam Peterson does the same thing to Scott, and then Cam had some strange problem here. Still trying to figure that out. I don't see his left foot moving around too much. The race unfortunately was called after Aiden Sneed crashes over in the back section of the track. He couldn't get to the bike. Red flag out, 3 laps to go. That's the result for number 1, Matthew Skultz.
Yeah, and so for Skultz and that brand new R9, that'll definitely be in the magazines in the win ad on Monday. But quite an accomplishment for a team that Matthew Skultz told you has been working so hard to get this motorcycle dialed in. So for Matthew Skultz, first shot fired in his defense of his number 1 plate. Our coverage continues with Motovation Supersport in a moment.
We're back here at MotoAmerica Live Plus. You can see the grid empty right now. The flag, though, blowing. That wind continues to pick up, Roger. The conditions have kind of been changing as the day's gone on, but the constant that we've had is this cloud coverage.
Yeah, and yesterday the sun was out all day, so it's the track, I think, right now should be, just getting warmer and warmer. The wind, the breeze is going to really help. But all these riders right now, especially in this Superbike class, they're going to be focusing on this track temperature when the sun comes out, and also the clouds.
Great group of fans have been on hand. Even yesterday, coming into the racetrack, you could see the fans that were waiting for the gates to open. It's a great way to start off the season.
Yeah, it's a great way, and Barber always has tons of fans, and even all the MotoAmerica races the last couple of years have had some great turnouts. Just looking across the fan zone, I've never seen so many cars parked in the grass right here in front of us as with the fans, so it's really cool to see so many people come out and supporting the series, and these guys are putting on a show for them.
I know you get around the racetrack at various points in the weekend when you're not up here in the booth. Where's your favorite place to watch from here at Barber?
Probably over across the track on the hill. You can see most of the track from there, out of the chicane. You can see them going into turn 5, also out of the last corner. And, not only going around this track and looking at good places to watch, it's just really fun to go around this place and check out all this different scenery.
Again, if you have your phone with you or the ability to pull it up on a computer screen, there is a map on one of the Barber websites where you can get a track map that actually has all of the art installations on it, so you can go and find all of the various ones around Barber Motorsports Park that we see on our coverage throughout the course of the weekend. All right, we're getting ready. Superbike racing will be up next, but first we're going to send it back over to Greg and Jason to continue with Supersport.
Race 1 has concluded here at Barber Motorsports Park in the Motovation Supersport. First race of 2025. And we are lucky enough to have Hannah still working down there. Hannah?
For Cameron Peterson, first race with this team, first race of the season. A bit of a learning curve. You had a big moment out there. What went on?
Yeah, happy to get the first race on the Supersport bike under my belt. Just probably got the worst start of my career. Absolutely botched the start, and made some few moves in the first couple laps, and definitely took me a while to kind of get going into the rhythm. And bike felt good, everything felt good, and then kind of when I caught back up to the tire, started having some brake issues. I just as the race went on, got a little bit worse and worse and worse, to a point where I was struggling to get into the corner. So just rode around and did what I could, and just learning curve. This is the third day on the bike. First time on the bike was on Monday, so a little bit embarrassing, honestly. I don't want to be riding around back there, but this team deserve more, so we'll give it a go tomorrow, and just keep learning.
Thanks, Cam. Guys?
No dramas. It's early. They got 18 races. They got 17 races left in the season. They're just starting this project. It's been a long time since Cam Peterson's back in this class, but he's on a motorcycle that's won this championship a couple of times. Trust me, he's going to be up there in the mix, maybe even starting tomorrow. But it's the championship. This is how we score points in MotoAmerica. It's 25 for a win, 20 for second, 16 for third, and on down the list. So with race 1 in the books and this top 10, you can see Cam Peterson still salvages 7th place, but Matthew Schultz leads this championship heading into tomorrow. Jason, we're looking forward for Motovation Supersport tomorrow, but man, it's looking like it's going to rain, and it doesn't look like it's going to be one of those box forecasts. Are you excited about tomorrow's race?
Always excited about it. We know that the R9's proven. It's already proven it's a good bike, so we'll see how it goes tomorrow in the wet.
Well, we can't wait to find out how it goes. It was an entertaining first Motovation Supersport race of 2025. Yamaha rolled out their flagship Supersport machine, the Yamaha R9, and they walk away with a big victory. Still so much of the season to be proven, and so many riders hungry for race wins. It might be raining tomorrow. You want to check it out. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. Can't wait to see you then from Barber Motorsports Park.